Okay guys, today we're going to look at the Avid 11 rack. Check out some of its features and let's see what this thing can do. Here we go.
Awesome, so this is the Avid 11 rack. It is a guitar preamp that has a multitude of different presets and different emulations of famous pedals ranging from dirt, distortion, fuzz, reverb, compression, the whole gamut of effects that you can program into presets and you can recall either through the interface on here or through MIDI or whatever other device you can use. The main function is that with each preset you're going to have up to 7 different layers of effects and amps. 8 layers of effects and amps. So right here, this is my first, kind of like my main preset that I bring up every time. It's a clean amplifier. It emulates the sound of a classic Fender or a Tweed amp, American Tweed amp. I think it sounds more like the PV Classic 50. Running in front of it is a clone of the Full-Tone OCD. In front of that as well is going to be a graphic equalizer. It's going to go into a reverb, and that is a digital reverb that emulates what you would see at a lot of studios with a rack reverb. Currently have it set at an arena style sound, and then it goes into a compression as well. So here is the clean with a little bit of drive in front of it. So say if you like that sound but you want to make some adjustments, all you have to do is just go into the edit. And what we can do is, the first thing we have in front of us is our white boost, going into an amplifier, into a graphic EQ, and then your final reverb. But say if you want to move, say you want to have this graphic EQ before the amp, you can just move it on over until you find the position you like. So we're going to move it over to right just before the amp. So that EQ is right there. All I have to do is just hit save. Now that it's saved, every time you bring this setting up, even after you power down the unit, it will save it in there, pops it back up instantly. Now, you've got the presets you want. Now, how do you plug it in? Well, there are multiple different ways you can plug in. In the front, you have an output to amp. You can run this in front of an amplifier. So if you just want to have just the stomp boxes, like a dirt or compression or an EQ, but you don't really worry about amp emulation or anything like a reverb or a delay or a phaser. You just want to have clean tones. You want to have only access to all of your stomp boxes. You can run straight to an amp output there. But say if you still want to have the amp modulations, the reverb, delay, all that fun stuff, you can set the output to the amp into either a power amp or to the return side of an effects loop on an amp, power the amp, and it will still keep those delay parts in there. One thing this thing can also do is cabinet emulation. You can have access to a bunch of different cabinets, such as 1.8 speakers. You've got access to emulations of Mesa Boogie cabinets. You've got emulations of Marshall, Fender, Silver Cones, Celestions, Blue Marvels, which are my personal favorite. With this one, I currently have the box currently turning off all cabinet emulations as we're plugging straight into a speaker today. But if you wanted to plug straight into a PA, you can have that cabinet simulation happening at any time. And if you turn off all cabinet simulation for the unit, if you're plugging straight to an amp, it will affect all the effects and you can save it the way it is. You can also have multiple outputs going out at once. So you can have coming out the back maybe just your clean tones to run into a monitor system. So if you've got in-ears and you only want clean sound or maybe just a little bit of dirt coming out into the monitors without any modulations, without any delays, EQs, choruses, phasers, flangers, you just want your clean sound going into your in-ear monitors, you can do that by running your monitor line straight out of the drive signal on that side. You can also plug into the front of an amp and into a cabinet, or have a single line going out to a PA if you're doing a live show and you want to record your dry signal for recording purposes. This could also be used in your studio if you want to reamp a dry signal. There are direct digital outputs and inputs in this as well. So if you have a clean DI that you were recording for your recent EP, you can reamp it to here, and you can find the best tone you can. So that's the 11 rack by Avid. I think it's a great tool. I bring it on almost all of my gigs now. It's a fantastic tool. It works really well, and you get whatever tone you could think of all ready to go. And what sounds good in the studio, you can make it sound just as good live.
So for those guys that you've got Pro Tools at home.
Mm-hmm.
You got it all hooked up. You don't need to buy a bunch of amps.
No, you really don't need to. As much fun as I love playing through great Marshalls and great PVs, I don't have room in my truck or my car to carry a bunch of different amps to a gig. I can take whatever I've recorded in the studio and I can bring that live to any place. And this can work well in a coffee shop. It can work at a small club. It can work at a large venue. Whatever venue you're playing in, this has flexibility to play whatever you want. So, but also say if you're an acoustic guitar player and you want to have some of those same effects, like a reverb or a chorus or a flanger, there's also a mic input right here. So if you have a mic'd guitar, you can run it through here and get those same effects, either for recording or live purposes.
Okay, so I see you have output to amp.
Mm-hmm.
Got a headphone.
Yeah, I like the headphones on here. It's great for at home practicing so I don't wake up the roommates or the next door neighbors. It sounds great, and you control the volume from there as well. And even if you're plugged into a computer, this does have USB input with a program that is free, where you can edit all of your presets through a computer instead of through the interface here. It's a great program that you can download for free from the Avid website, and it's probably the easiest way to save and edit any of your presets. All right, so going from left to right, the first thing you're going to see is this effects loop. If you have pedals you really enjoy, so if there's like a boutique distortion you really love, or you built one yourself that you have on a bunch of different songs, what you can do is you can input that into this effects loop, and you can find the specific spot where you want it in the chain. So say if you have your favorite overdrive pedal, and you have to have it in one of your presets. You can plug it into here with the send and return, and there's a dedicated effects loop part of the signal chain that you can edit and move around. To the outputs, we have our main output. We have a left and right, and either one can work mono. If you plug into right, it will be a mono. Left will be mono. It automatically picks it up. This can be used for if you're plugging in directly into a PA, and you can have your entire rig in there. You can have your amp simulation, you can have your cabinet simulation, everything you have, every single aspect of your rig can be sent out. You also have line input as well, so say if you're working with doing some effects with line level things like a keyboard, or maybe you're plugging in a DI box going into here, you can also plug that in. You can also have dB adjustments for that. You also have your second output to amp. This is similar to the output to amp on the front. So if you want to run stereo stuff, you can as well. But what's also great is that if you have this on a rack mount, if you are unable to access the output on the front, you have the output there. You also have a MIDI and an out through for controls, which are completely programmable. I recommend the Voodoo Labs foot switch for this. It's very easy to program, but almost every MIDI foot switcher can work with it. You also can have an expression pedal or a foot switch. On the rack, you can have a volume or a wah, and the wah pedals emulate the silver Vox wah or a classic Crybaby. You can plug those expression pedals in there to make those changes, or you can even have a tap tempo put into there as well. Really cool thing you can do with this is you can also use an expression pedal to crossfade between different effects. So if you have your expression pedal cocked all the way back, you can have it set to a clean sound, and you can slowly roll in gain into a more distorted sound. I think it's a great aspect. Then you have the digital I/O. This is what's used for Pro Tools for reamping or running things through an effects loop. Then you've got the same thing with your in and outs over here. this is your USB out. This is your USB in and out. Excuse me. This is what you will plug into a computer so you can go through your editor, which is a free program you can have on any computer. It's available for Mac and Windows. You can edit all your presets on the fly, name them. You can work whatever presets you want to work for. And then you got your standard power. This works with any power cable that works for all amps. This is kind of like a model of the a Tweed Lux. There's this one I believe is based off the 59, but hopefully we get the what the great
Okay, let's hear it.
And then this next one, let's see if we can get a really cool one. This is going to be kind of like the vibrato ones that you would see the Fender make back in the 60s and 50s. Then we can keep on going. We can have the model Marshall style. We can keep on going. We can do something very similar to the Marshall sound. What's great, all these amplifiers have individual EQ settings, as like you would see on the original amplifiers. Here's kind of like the plexiglass 50 watt. And then let's see if we can, let's go quickly do my favorite. Let's find her. Yeah, the DC Modern. This is kind of like their version of the Mesa Boogie rectifier on a much more high gain sound.
And then again, you've got tons of different pedal stomp box settings in there. Let's hear like 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah, so I'm going to switch this down to a clean sound so we can get the best of the distortion on there. So this first one that we're going to go to is the Tri-Fuzz. This is kind of like their version of the Big Muff, the EHX one.
How do you adjust the settings to the fuzz right there?
So say if we want to edit this, we can go to the controls by clicking this up here.
Okay.
We can adjust the volume.
At 10. Okay.
You have the sustain kind of at a 3 o'clock over here.
I got it now.
And then you got the tone.
That's cool, man.
So say if we like that, we're going to hit back and we can have those exact same sounds. All right, so let's look at some of the other dirt pedals that we got on this sucker. We're gonna look at the Black Op. This is kind of like their version of the Rat. So if you want to make that as dirty as possible, we can turn that distortion up. We're gonna turn that cut down, and we're gonna make that volume a little even. Let's go back. Let's look at some of the more of the fun dirt stuff. The green JRC. This is their copy of the Tube Screamer, the Avid Tube Screamer. My favorite dirt pedal of all time. The same idea. The controls are very reminiscent of what you would see on an actual Tube Screamer. Your distortion, your drive, your tone, your level, and you can really crank this thing. So say if we want to go back, we're going to look at some of the other ones.
Let me hear some kind of one of their delays or something.
Yeah, let's go to that. So we're going to swing over to their delay. Now they have a couple different ones. They've got their tape echo, kind of what you would say like with a reel-to-reel style echo. Cool. We've got one that is very reminiscent of like the old Roland type of delays from the 70s.
Let's hear that for a minute.
Yeah, so we're going to go into the controls. Oh, I should also you need to turn it on. We're gonna go to here. And then if you want to have tempo on there, we're going to go to here. One of the things you can't see on the interface, but what you can do is you can adjust what type of delay, if you want a quarter note delay, if you want a dotted quarter note delay. And what's also really great about that is that once you create that setting, whenever, if you're using like a tap tempo pedal, or if you're running the tap tempo through MIDI, it will still say that same type of delay length. So you can have a dotted quarter note delay on any tempo, no matter what you're putting into it as well. But if we're going to go to my favorite one of the delays, that dynamic delay, what you would see on a lot of rack mounts in different studios, and you would see the feedback, your mix, and inside the program, you get a wide variety of frequencies that you want to delay, how you want it to decay itself, the frequency rates. There's just a really cool things you can do with the dynamic delay. That's my favorite. So that's a lot of fun with the delays on there. And if we wanted to choose one effect that kind of put everything on the top, it's going to be in here. And we're going to change this to the rotary speaker. Here it is.
Now, real quick question. How many of these pedals can you build your own pedal board out, all these, and how many can you run simultaneously?
At any simultaneously, you can have up to 7 different pedals running. You would have your dirt, your modulation, a delay, a reverb, and then you would have your 2 effects, like various effects ones on there. But with the addition of the effects loop, where you can plug in your own pedals in there, that number can become infinitely larger.
That's amazing.
Which is great. And you can put that effects loop where you have your individual pedals anywhere in the chain. And you can program it right there and then. So if you want to have dirt
that's an
after the
amazing
delay,
item.
you can put it there.
That's great. That's crazy, man. Andrew, thank you so much for bringing that thing in today.
No problem.
And again, it's the Avid 11 rack. Cool, man.
Sweet.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Later.